Cyberpunk 2077 was announced when I was an innocent little 10-year-old boy. After years of hype and expectations, it finally released last Thursday, and after pouring around 50 hours into the game, I can say with confidence that this game met and somewhat exceeded my expectations. I love this game. Now, it does have its problems, and a lot of them at that, but I feel that those issues are not prominent or disturbing enough to take too much away from the game. Before I go on, my good friend Wolf of Thorns is looking for both Twitch and Discord moderators. If you're interested, I'll leave his email address in the description, so go ahead and contact him. Check out his content too. I hope to see some of you as a fellow mod soon. I'd also like to ask you to like the video if you enjoy it, consider subscribing if you're new, and click the notification bell so that you don't miss my uploads. If you'd like to keep up with me, my socials are linked below, or you could join my Discord server to make everything easier. Thank you for watching. Now on to the review. Let me take the trash out first and mention the problems with the game. On the PlayStation 4 Pro, the game is terribly optimized. From a technical standpoint, the game does not work well at all on base consoles. The bugs and glitches show up every few minutes and make an otherwise amazing game feel a little bit frustrating to play. There are unrendered textures, odd audio cues, overlapping voice lines, phone calls occurring at the same time as these voice lines, as well as pop-in textures. There's also a huge problem with the AI in this game. The enemy AI sometimes glitches out and doesn't attack you, because for some reason the game registers them as friends or friendly NPCs. The driving AI crashes into pedestrians and explodes randomly, or just freezes in the street. The AI is either really smart or really stupid, and the difficulty is very inconsistent. Sometimes I'm getting shot by 60 people and I take no damage, and other times a guy one-shots me with a little pistol from a mile away. Initially, the gunplay and combat felt a tad bit lackluster, but it quickly became more engaging and fun as I upgraded my character. That's pretty standard RPG stuff though. While these hitches frustrated me at times, I was quick to overcome them and ignore them because all these problems were not nearly enough to take away from my experience with the game in general. For me personally, this game was filled with beautiful things. From start to finish, I was thoroughly engaged with the story. The main missions felt complete and really well designed. There's a lot of meat here. I got a pretty good ending in my playthrough. The entire arc of the game was well paced and kept me engaged throughout its entirety. Of course, there's some problem with pacing because of the distracting side missions, however, I feel like that's just how RPGs are. And the distractions aren't necessarily a bad thing because I got distracted due to the full and enjoyable nature of every single mission. Each side mission, even the 2-minute ones like the little gigs on the side, have backstories, lore, and world building attached. Every mission felt fun and not like some useless open world filler. I did feel a little bit disappointed at the length of the life path prologues, and how they didn't really affect much other than the very start and some voice lines here and there. But as I went into my second playthrough, I saw a bigger difference between the different life paths and how they approach certain situations and how they respond to certain things. I really loved all the characters involved. Every character had personality and was memorable in their own way. And the voice acting and execution of performances was another very, very well done aspect of the game. The characters had life, and your character's interactions with them felt substantial and important. Building relationships felt meaningful, and not a single character left me feeling uninterested or bored. My favorite character would probably have to be Panam, but that's pretty much everyone's favorite character at this point because she's just such a lovable character. I remembered every single character I interacted with, and the meaningful bonds established with them made everything feel much better at the end. I loved seeing V interact with all these characters, especially Johnny Silverhand, because he's there with you for the majority of the game, and the banter between V and Johnny Silverhand is really, really funny. Keanu's performance was so Keanu. Johnny Silverhand felt like a really well developed and very well executed character. Keanu's just such a good performer, and this performance was nothing short of amazing. He put so much personality and depth into this character and made him feel so lively. Personally, I feel like the romance options were kind of limited, so I wish CD Projekt Red added some more. Again, I hope they fix this in the future. The story was well developed and well told. I feel that the choices I made as the game progressed would affect the future of the game world and my character's outcome, so I was very careful when responding to a certain character in a certain way. These choices made my ending feel satisfying due to my prior in-game actions. Some animations were a little bit buggy, so with some polish they'll look much better, because even on a last gen console, this game looks pretty damn good. If you ignore the bugs, of course. The character models themselves look pretty good. The gameplay as a whole felt decent. Cars handled well if you had better cars. The guns felt fun to use eventually after upgrades. Melee felt like the most fun in my opinion. Beating someone to death with a club or chopping them up with a katana or using your mantis blades was kinda satisfying. The cyberware upgrades made things feel so much more accessible. The open world, while a little lacking in substance, felt and looked amazing. It felt really good to explore. Marveling at the big-ass technologically advanced skyscrapers made me feel like a little kid. I feel like there could be and probably should be more to actually do in the open world, because it does feel a little bit empty at times. It's beautiful to look at, but there's not much to do in the streets. There are not many shops to go into. There's not much interaction with the NPCs. But I hope they fix these issues again in future patches. The sound design was phenomenal. Every single combat track sent a wave of adrenaline through me and made me feel ready and on my toes. The soundtrack was beautifully crafted, a pretty good blend between electronic sounds and some acoustic instruments. Of course, there's a pretty heavy rock undertone because of Johnny Silverhand being a rock star in his past, which is something I really like. So the electric guitars and the bass and all of that stuff was well done. It fit the aesthetic of the game perfectly. The guns felt weighty and sounded really good. The reload sounds felt satisfying and were mixed quite well. Johnny Silverhand's gun that you use, his reload animation, is so cool. It's just satisfying every time you reload. Listening to the car's engines rev made me feel so badass. The overall length of this game is okay. It's no Witcher 3, but there's more than enough content and side content present to spend your time with. You can easily sink more than 50 hours into the game. There's a substantial amount of content to complete and none of it felt unnecessary. Nothing felt like filler. Overall, this game is so good. I enjoyed it very much. It lacks some things that were promised or expected, and the bugs are abysmal. But I feel that with enough time, CD Projekt Red can turn this 8 out of 10 into a 10 out of 10. It's a near masterpiece, and a little more love will turn it into a definite masterpiece. In fact, I'd actually give it a 9 after finishing it because the experience was just that good. Initially, it was an 8 out of 10 for me, but it's getting much closer to a 10 out of 10 now. It scratched my RPG itch, giving me a good story, fun gameplay, strong characters, and an all-around good time. A little personal note. I feel like this game was hyped up way too much. So much that no matter what came out the other side, people wouldn't be satisfied. There were just too many over-the-top expectations. People expected it to be the next phase of gaming or whatever, the best game ever created, blah blah blah. That mindset and pressure mounted on CD Projekt Red probably made them implode. I can't imagine the sheer pressure they had on their shoulders. They wanted to deliver the best RPG experience they could. But I feel like those expectations were unfair. The game is amazing. It's a really good game. And I agree that it feels a bit unfinished, and people's complaints about it are completely valid. Even after 8 years, it feels unfinished. It's justified that people are angry. It's justified that people wanted more. But it's still unfair that this amount of expectation was held on the game, because it's still a very good game. The delays left people angry and protesting, yet when they released it unfinished, people were mad that it was unfinished. And of course, there was probably some argument between the publishers of the game and the developers. There are problems on all sides. The players, the developers, the publishers, everything. I won't talk much more about this topic here, but I have a short video coming out soon, hopefully, talking about the problems with the current situation of the gaming community. Keep an eye out for that sometime soon. That's all I have to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed my review for Cyberpunk 2077. If you've played it or are playing it, let me know how you're enjoying it so far. Thank you for stopping by, don't forget to look for the light, and goodbye for now.